Hi guys, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach ending eating disorders, coming to you with another live feed with so many people that we talk to. There are some really common things that come up with the people that we help get free, with the people who, are in our community. There are some really common themes that I love to do live feeds about, because I know that if there's somebody's question, then they're everyone's question, right? Especially when we have this feeling of like, oh, like we're the only ones who feel this way and this is my only struggle. It is incredible to hear you guys say like, wow, I thought I was alone, but I wasn't. And it was like you were reading my mind, and I can't believe other people feel that way. I remember I felt that way for a long time. With years of binge eating and bulimia, I didn't even know that I had an eating disorder. I just thought that I was my very own brand of crazy, that I just had no willpower, that maybe I was a food addict, that I just needed to try harder. And all the things that I was doing was actually making my eating disorder worse. But I didn't even know that I had an eating disorder. So there was nowhere to go. It was just like more control, more willpower. And again, those things are making it worse. So I want to be able to help you guys with 6 key things that we think that we need to know. And because we feel like we need to know them, it keeps us back from having the freedom that we want and being able to just be a normal eater, have food be a neutral thing, and end our eating disorders. We've seen it happen hundreds and hundreds of times. And for a lot of women, these are the very little hinge points that were keeping them back from making progress. So I want to let you guys know what those are today and then what to do about them. So just as review, remember that anytime that we go back into the binge cycle or the restrict cycle, or that thing where we say like, oh, we're never going to do this again, and so since we already blew it, we might as well have all the rest of whatever because we're never going to do this again and we're really going to fix it tomorrow. All of that is just part of a cycle. And it's because of a habit of thought. There's nothing wrong with you. Your brain isn't broken. You don't have anything you need to sort out. You can sort out whatever in your past that you want to, but it doesn't need to be attached at all to just ending your eating disorder. The only reason that we ever go back into the same binge cycle that we've been in for so long is just because there was a habit of thought that we believed. So by habit of thought, what I mean is anything that we do is because of a thought that we believe, and then those thoughts become habits. And you have all sorts of things you do all day that are just habits of thought that you're not even thinking about. But when you have them in your awareness, especially with habits of thought with your eating disorder, then you can end the cycle. You have to be aware of it. You have to know exactly what to do with those thoughts and compulsions in the moment to be able to get out of them and break the cycle. And it is simply comes down to not believing the habits of thought that you used to, and then your brain starts rewiring. Now, these are 6 things that come up very often in those habits of thought that keep us stuck. Because remember, the habits of thought that we're talking about, I call it the chatter. The chatter is that voice that is the habit of thought. So it might be something like, the chatter is saying that, we can just have one piece. The chatter is saying like, oh, that wasn't satisfying. You should just have another piece. The chatter is saying, what did you do having 2 pieces? I can't believe you did that. You totally blew it. Your day is ruined. You might as well have all the rest. The chatter is saying you can never do this again, right? Notice how it's just that same thing that keeps you in the cycle. So when we have awareness of that and we can break it, that is the key to freedom. And that's exactly what we specialize in and what I want to help you guys with today. So those habits of thought, they're nothing personal. They're nothing meaningful. It's literally just because they've worked before. Your brain is very efficient. So it's going to say the things that have worked before to keep you in the cycle. And I'm going to lead you through 6 things that let's see, it's kind of opposite. 6 things that you think that you need to know, but you don't. And thinking you need to know those are the very things that a lot of times are keeping you stuck in this cycle. So again, hello guys, so fun to see you joining. This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, ending eating disorders. Feel free to pop in with any questions or hearts or thumbs up or whatever you want to do. You can participate. This is live. This is out to the world. You can be here. So happy that you're here. Thank you for making this an amazing community. So, all right, I'm gonna swish my hair to the side so I don't look so naked. You cover up both of your straps with your hair, then you just kind of look naked. I got that feedback with my very first video I ever released. Some, people are like, I love your content. It's amazing. It's really helping me with my eating disorder. But by the way, why are you naked in your videos? I'm like, I'm not naked. My hair was just covering my shirt. So there, know that I am clothed for the live feed videos. If you want other live feed videos where that isn't the case, this is not the place to find them, people. All right, let's talk about those 6 things that you think you need to know, and thinking you need to know them is keeping you stuck. Thing number 1, I need to know what my set point weight is. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about with set point weight, go to lydiavideo.com, watch the What Will Happen to My Weight video. It is the best video out there on set point weight. I've heard this from many people. It's not just me self-proclaiming it, although I do that sometimes. But number 1 is I have to know what my set point weight is. So this habit of thought says, the chatter is saying that, what if you gain weight? The chatter is saying that you don't know what your weight really is because you've been so up and down. The chatter is saying you have to know what weight you're going to end up being once you don't have an eating disorder, because what if you're bigger than you want to be, and that would be so terrifying. So you have to be able to know exactly what your weight is going to be before you can change anything, because what if it's bigger than you want? Okay. How does that keep us stuck? So what do you suggest? Okay. So we just stay where we're at, right? It's like just stay in an eating disorder because we don't know what our weight is. Okay, how exactly would we find that out? How would we find out what our set point weight is? Notice how a lot of these things, when we just take it a step further, it doesn't make sense anymore. The only way to know what your set point weight is to get out of an eating disorder. But the chatter is saying that it's so terrifying to think of your set point weight being higher than you want it to, that you should just figure that out. You're going to figure it out tomorrow. You're going to figure it out. You're almost there. And it will keep you in this cycle for the rest of your life. The rest of your life, you guys. When we look back, how many years have you been doing this? And it's because it's these same things. The chatter's never going to say like, oh, you should just have an eating disorder for the rest of your life. It's going to say, we're going to fix this tomorrow. We're almost there. Oh, just watch another video. Oh, just read another book. Oh, just do this other little thing. You're almost there. And it's just going to keep you small in doing the things that you have done already that haven't worked. But who knows what your weight is going to be? So just keep going. Do the devil that you know, right? Like the things that are familiar. So know that that is one thing that you've got to be able to see keeps you stuck. It's like, oh, well, I've got to know what my set point weight is first. Number 2, the thing that we think that we need to know before we get started on our journey of freedom is, what am I going to do with my life? Chatter is saying, well, what are you going to do with your life? Your life has been an eating disorder. You've been thinking of food this whole time. This takes up so much time and so much energy. What are you going to do without it? You've got to figure out what to do. Man, if you figure your eating disorder out, then you're probably going to need to figure out your career and your relationships. And you know what? You don't really like your relationship. You don't really like your job. And you're going to have to figure that out once you figure out your eating disorder. And all of a sudden, it attaches this overwhelm of the chatter is saying that we've got to be able to know exactly what we want our life to be. We have to fix everything. We have to have the perfect career. We're going to have to deal with everything once we deal with this. It literally puts up a shield of oh, as long as we have this overwhelming eating disorder, then we don't have to deal with that other stuff. Okay, so what do you suggest, chatter? Oh, well, just keep on working on, this, just look at the eating disorder, because you don't have that figured out yet. You don't know what you're going to do with your life. So you're not really ready to let go of the eating disorder. Do you see how that keeps you in the same struggle? It keeps you stuck. Again, these habits of thought are nothing personal. The chatter is not trying to really help you or not help you with figuring out your life. It just knows that if it can say, well, you haven't figured out your life yet, so you can't end your eating disorder, then you're not going to end your eating disorder because you don't have your life figured out yet. Do you see the cycle here? All right, number 3 is, who will I be without my eating disorder? Well, the chatter is saying that my eating disorder has defined me my whole life, and that I just am a person who overeats, or is a chocoholic, or just loves food way too much, or simply can't stop, or can't have sugar, or is a sugar addict. All of these labels, an emotional eater, all these labels that we put on ourselves that are sort of our identity and who we are. And then the chatter says like, oh, well, you don't know who you are without this. What if you don't like who you are? What if you end your eating disorder and you find out who you really are and you don't like that person? Then you're really doomed. Then things are really bad for you. All right, so what do you suggest? Well, just go ahead, just, read this one last book. Just like, oh, look up some blogs, right? Like doing the things, this is a huge distraction of the chatter to keep you in the cycle. To do the things that haven't worked, but that make you feel like you're busy, that make you feel like you're doing something. It is not uncommon for us to talk to women who are spending 3-4 hours a day on podcasts and videos and blogs and researching different foods and diets because they feel like they're working so hard. They're working so hard on their eating disorder. But has it ever worked? No. That's why they're still doing this stuff. But the chatter is like, oh, okay, but you don't really know who you'd be without this, but you're gonna work on it. I mean, like you're working on it. So just keep doing the things that don't work, that never have, that make you feel like you're doing something. And then on the other side of it, you're still in the cycle. You're still in the habit because there's this fear in the background of what if I don't like who I am? And who will I be without my eating disorder? And I don't know who that is. And that's so scary that I'm going to stay at this low simmer of overwhelm where it feels comfortable. Don't let that trick you, you guys. Just see that as another thing. Just take it that next step. Okay, well, if I believe that, then what do you suggest? Okay, staying in the same cycle. Ah, I see it. All right, number 4. Well, I have to know how to eat. I don't know how to eat. I've had disordered eating since I was 10 years old. I've never even been a normal eater. I have no idea how to eat. The chatter is saying that, if you just tried to, just be free and normal in your eating, you would totally mess it up because you've never even done it before. You don't even have the skill. You have no idea how to eat. So you have to figure out how to eat first before you end your eating disorder. You've got to have a place to go. You've got to be able to know, oh, as soon as I'm done with this, then I'll do this thing that I figured out. So, okay, let's figure out this perfect way of eating while I figure out my eating disorder so that I can know what to do. And I can't end my eating disorder until I figure that out. Let's take that a step further. Okay, so what do you suggest? What does that mean? Okay, so let's look at the little cycle that keeps you in this. So the chatter is saying to you can't end your eating disorder until you know how to eat. Okay, so let's eat perfectly. Let's figure that out. Oh, but man, it keeps getting wrecked. Oh man, I could never get momentum. I can never show myself that I know how to eat. I can never eat in that perfect way because I have an eating disorder. But you can't end your eating disorder till you know how to eat. Well, I can't eat normally because I have an eating disorder. Bop, 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 back and forth for 25 years. It's a lot of life, you guys, but these are the sorts of simple things that keep us stuck because they work when you believe them. So be aware of that. Number 5. Number 5 and number 6 really go together, so I'm going to sort of put them together. So number 5 is I have to know if I can do it on my own. And number 6 is I have to know if, whatever I think really might work, works for me. So number 5 is I have to know if I can do it on my own. And number 6 is, well, I have to know if that thing will work for me. Okay, so let's look at that. I have to know if I can end my eating disorder on my own. Okay, how exactly would you find that out? Well, you would keep trying. You would keep doing stuff. Ask yourself, how much life is that worth for you? Is it worth 1 more year of having an eating disorder? Is it worth 5 more years of having an eating disorder? When exactly would you know if you can do it on your own? If you've tried for 20 years and it hasn't worked? If you are diagnosed with diabetes? If you lose your marriage after you've spent $10,000 on binging? When exactly would you know if you can do it on your own or not? Notice how it's this chatter of this big fuzzy thing of, oh, you've got to know if you can do it on your own. Ask the question, you guys. How would I know if I can do it on my own? And how long are you willing to wait? Because you can literally go the rest of your life wondering, can I do it on my own, and spend the rest of your life with an eating disorder. So notice how that keeps you stuck. But then we're like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this on my own. Maybe I need some help. Maybe I need some support. So we look into getting support, and then the chatter says, oh, but you've got to know if that's going to work for you. Take it one step further. Notice how that keeps us stuck, but take it one step further. Okay, well, how would I know if it worked for me? How would you ever know if something is going to work for you if you don't do it? But notice how that keeps you stuck. Oh, you've got to know that it works for you. Oh, so then you can't do it because you don't know if it works for you. But how would you know if it worked for you? Well, to do it, but I can't do it because I don't know if it's going to work for me. Bop, 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 back and forth for the next 15 years. Like, it'll keep you in that space. So when you are aware of those things, if you don't have those in your awareness and see them as just another thing that your brain is doing to try to hold you back from doing what you really need to do to get this done all the way, you will stay stuck in this. I'm going to sneeze on a live feed. Oh, no, I'm not going to sneeze on a live feed. Ah! It would have been better to sneeze, you guys. I'd always than not sneeze. All right. So let's review those five. The five things there are six things. 6 things you think you need to know, and then how they keep you stuck, and then what you need to actually do. So with the 5 things, 1, I need to know what my set point weight is. Here's the truth. You don't need to know what your set point weight is. You have no control over your set point weight, except to make it higher and higher and higher by continuing to restrict and diet. That's it, and continuing to binge. So set point weight can go up through more dieting. It's not going to go down. So you need to be able to look at that. Oh, thanks for the little like happy faces and hearts, guys. That's awesome. What you need to do is end your eating disorder and then let your set point weight go to where it's going to go. And you know what? That may be higher or lower or the same as what you think. But what does it matter? You're going to end your eating disorder, and that's the only thing that's going to get you there. The only thing that's going to do is your set point weight is going to get higher. Number 2, I have to know what to do with my life. This comes up all the time, you guys. But guess what? The women who are in our program, they get free after 25 years of an eating disorder. None of them know. None of them know what they're going to do with their life. But guess what? They have a way better idea of what they're going to do with their life once they don't have an eating disorder anymore. You can figure that out once you don't have an eating disorder anymore. And you never have to figure that out. Do you know? Hi, guys. So fun to see your little hellos and waves. Do you know how many people in this world don't know what they're going to do with their lives? But they don't have to continue an eating disorder. In fact, lots of them don't have an eating disorder. They just don't know what they're going to do with their lives. That doesn't hurt you. That just makes you somebody that doesn't know what they're going to do with their life. A lot of people are in that position. Don't let that hold you back from getting rid of your eating disorder. Number 3, you have to know, who will I be without my eating disorder? What is the only way to find out who you are without your eating disorder? To not have an eating disorder anymore. You can just take care of that first. But here's something I can tell you guys. I have never seen a woman come into our program, end her eating disorder, get her time and money and energy back, get her health back, be free, be so happy about it, and be like, oh man, and I found out that I really don't like who I am. I was such a better person with an eating disorder. Man, I should just go back and have an eating disorder because that person was awesome. And who I am without an eating disorder, I just don't like this girl. Literally never happened. Never, never once happened. Because it's not like you're this other person. You're just you without all this stuff in the way. Your eating disorder doesn't make you a good person. Your eating disorder just gets in the way of who you really are. And it's more of who you are. And it's a beautiful thing to find out. And that's such a cool thing to hear women in our program be like, wow, I'm finding out what I actually like. I'm finding out my preferences. I'm finding out who I really am. And it's not forced. It's something that's literally already there. And you're just uncovering it by getting free. Number 4, I have to know how to eat. No, you don't. Guess what's keeping you from knowing how to eat? That you have an eating disorder. Eating is not a learned skill that you have to start from scratch and you're just like, you know, moving plates of stuff around on the table and swishing stuff with your hands. I mean, that's what you do when you're like 2. That's not what you do when you're an adult. Eating is a skill like breathing. Eating is a skill like going to the bathroom. It's just something that once you get stuff out of the way that makes it distorted, it's a very natural thing. You already know how to eat. Your body is so good at it. Your body is super good at knowing how to eat. The only reason that it feels hard is because you have an eating disorder. So no, you don't need to know how to eat. You need to end your eating disorder so that you can just get back in touch with how to eat. All right, number 5. I need to know if I can do it on my own. And number 6, well, I can't do anything unless I know that it works for me. I'm just gonna raise an eyebrow at this one. Did I raise? Oh yeah, I did raise it on the right side. You can't see it because of my bangs. It's all swapped in the, anyway. I've said that before. Live feeds are weird because they don't look like me because they're the swapped image, which maybe looks more like me because it's not a mirror image. But we never really see ourselves because we're only seeing reflections or images of ourselves. So we're the one person in our life that never actually knows what we look like. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, just a thought for you. So with those other, number 5 and number 6, you guys, like you can't know if something is going to work for you until you actually do it and show up and do what you need to. I know that it's a brave step, and you can't know if you're going to be able to figure it out on your own unless you just go forever for the rest of your life trying to figure that out. But what I do know is that you don't have to know those things, and what you can do is take action for the things that are going to work. And you know what? If it is more important for you to do this on your own than to end your eating disorder, I respect that. Go do it. Figure it out if you can. But if you've been trying to figure it on your own and it hasn't worked, like a wonderful grad of our program, she tried it on her own for 29 years. That was enough years for her to decide that it didn't matter. You know what? Maybe she could have gone 33 years and figured that out on her own, but probably not, because she'd been trying for 29 years. If your track record of figuring it on your own is something where you're still struggling with it, there is no shame in that. It's fine. You can still get what you want. You might just need some help and support, like so many people do. There's nothing wrong with that, but you've got to take that action. You've got to do what works, but you don't need to know those 6 things. So I hope that helps you guys to be aware of those thoughts that keep you stuck, the chatter that says, oh, you have to know this before you can end this. And if you are serious about just ending this pattern, whether it's overeating, whether it's binge eating, whether it's bulimia, whether it's food fear, whether it's overexercise, whether it's body hate, all those things that distort our relationship with food, which is a relationship that will be with you every day for the rest of your life, then what you can do is you can have a free session. You can go to lydialifestyle.com/apply and book a free session with us where we're going to get you that foundational step and call out all of those chatters of those 6 things we talked about that are like, oh, well, before I do the session, I need to know how to eat. Before I do the session, I need to know if it's going to work for me. Before I sign up for a free session that could be the best thing that I've ever done in my life, I have to know what my set point weight is. Just raise an eyebrow at that. Be aware of that and get into action. Do something new. Shake it up. If you haven't had a session, book a session. If you've had a session and you're free now, awesome. If you've had a session and then it wasn't the right timing for you to be able to do what you needed to after that, then revisit it. It's never too late. Come back. Do what you need to. So lydialifestyle.com for a free masterclass and also a link to be able to book a session with our team. This is Lydia, the Lifestyle Coach, signing off. Mwah. Bye, guys.